Hey, how you doing? All right, let's do it to it. Okay, let me get a drink, and then we'll get started. Alrighty. This is a game. Marshall is white, and I believe he's playing in the U.S. I think this was the Olympiad, if I'm not mistaken, because he's playing under the U.S. flag, and uh, Attackins is playing under the Great Britain flag. And so this is basically, I believe, the Olympics, and it was played in maybe it wasn't Olympics, maybe it was something similar to that, but it was in cable match 1903. This is a Queen's Gambit declined. This was a Queen's Gambit declined. I think the reader will agree that the manner in which I took he's basically the manner in which he took the position himself from a different kind of positional advantage makes this game well worth the in basically the insertion in the book. He's saying that this game right that we're going over right now, that's the U.S. versus the Great Britain. It's very instructive. Hey, yeah, I'm on a little early. I was able to get on. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. And then we'll go over and then D5. And so he played basically oh wow, so he did let me see here. So this is a kind of Queen's Gambit. I thought the Queen's Gambit decline was actually E6 though. It can be both, I guess. Thought that was more. I thought C6 was more of a Slav. Maybe a Slav declined Queen's Gambit, because that's usually a Slav type of setup when you play C6. I know there's an exchange Slav and there's an advanced Slav and all different types of Slav openings. So this is kind of an awkward one. I think they were just kind of etching out openings. This is 1903. This is Frank J. Marshall versus H.E. Altakins or something like that. And Marshall was playing for the U.S. and H.E. was playing for Great Britain. So black is Great Britain and white is United U.S. Okay, so basically played this. So knight c3 and knight f6. He played pawn takes, so he went somewhat into an exchange Slav setup. This my grandmaster teacher. Once I gotta get a drink. That's much better. My throat was getting dry there. Okay, my grandmaster teacher told me that there's a way to set up so you can actually get to somewhat of a French type of position. Sometimes you can use a Slav and transpose into a French. And this is kind of what black is able to do. Let's see if he actually plays. Okay, so bishop f4. Oh, he didn't go. I thought he was either going to go potentially knight f5, e6, and then get some pressure via this way. But he brought the knight out as quick as he can or could. Marshall played e3, and that's going to allow for the bishop to come streaming out to b5. Let me see here. Oh, so he did play this. Wow. Whoa. For real? Why didn't he play this here after this? And then if white castles, black castles, and you have a kind of symmetrical position that it could potentially end up a draw with proper play. Go figure, I guess. They wanted to place like this is a not really symmetrical because black now has a very bad bishop on a light square bishop. He's got a, as Ginger Grandmaster Simon Williams would tell me, is this, that it is, or us, sorry, tell us, that this is actually a somewhat of a bad French for black, because he doesn't have the potential for an f4 break or anything like that. Kind of really odd. I know you're thinking, wait a second, this isn't a French, this is a Queen's Gambit declined or some sort of a exchange Slav. But let me see here. So we're on 7, so bishop to, oops, sorry, bishop d3, that's black. And then bishop e7, knight f3, and then castles. I gotta say, at this moment right now, move 8, I prefer white. Not just because it's Marshall, but I prefer white because of how free his development is. His position is now allotting him the ability to actually somewhat potentially attack. He could later on potentially play queens, maybe even here, potentially a sacrifice maybe after there, but you have to be careful these queen and bishop. There's always a Greek gift in the air. Gotta always be on your tippy toes when it comes to the Greek gift. 95. Yep, he's trying to head in for something like that. This kind of reminds me of a London system, more than a Queen's Gambit declined. This kind of reminds me more of a somewhat of a London system. A really good London system for white, because white always wants to, in a pure London system, wants to get a knight to e5, and if white could get a knight to e5, if black saliently basically took it and you played here, you do potentially have to, you got to be careful, you have to get this knight in and somehow get it in here so you can mate. So you just got to be on your toes. So I don't think taking with the pawn's best. Well, maybe it is to kick the knight out, but that does make it kind of weak. I think we could at this point play e4 though. Then if takes. Now I really do like white at this moment, but he didn't actually take here. I might have preferred to postpone. This is a favorite of Moore. He says basically he was thinking about postponing this just for a second and actually going towards castles, or potentially queen to c1, I mean rook c1, not queen, or potentially queen to b3, which also goes along with the London. Sometimes you can actually take advantage of b7. But he played, oh, he did play knight takes. Ah, didn't think he was going to do that. And he did take. And he did play knight. So, oh wow. And we didn't even look at this. And we're doing almost a dead ringer. Oh, and he did play this. Oh wow. So we were going down the right path. Wow. We were thinking the right. Who'd have thunk? We're thinking like Marshall. And Marshall was one of the greatest U.S. chess players. So he began kind of a faulty attack. He said what would have been better would have actually just been to kind of castle, settle in, and basically just go for a kind of calm game. Maybe bring his bishop back, play f4, get his queen involved, go h4, h5, h6, and see if he can't provoke some weaknesses along there. But he kind of went in, he said this was a faulty attack by him. King g4, g6 is kind of mandate on this. He has to do this. Black does. And so now he's doing the Harry the H pawn. And we like Harry the H pawn. He played knight b4, trying to get rid of this light square. Oops, that's not the move. He played pawn to h5, so Harry's going down the field of battle with both, as they say, guns blazing, and he's got all the rocket launchers and everything, and he's going, he's doing Harry's the H pawns doing his blitz that he always likes to do. Charge the enemy, no matter what. Even if I have to, breach it myself, I'll breach the wall. That's kind of, I always think of Harry as the courageous pawn. So I think of Albert like that too. They're the ones that are the most, yeah. Yeah, I always think of him as the courageous soldier. In the beginning of the chess, in Europe, a lot of the players would just throw their pawns away like there's no tomorrow. But a lot of the modern chess players of today understand how important Harry the H pawn is. He's kind of he's the one that always gets kind of beat up, as I like to say, on the chessboard. But he does win a lot of games for his team. He's the one who gets sent in, on the first push, the first attack. But you know what? That Harry, if he would talk to you, he would say, "I'm glad to do it." Harry the H pawn. He would say, "It's an honor to be the wall breacher for the kingdom." And so that's why we shouldn't we should not sacrifice lightly. We have to make sure that our forces all have a point in the battle. Okay, so knight takes the bishop, check, queen takes, and then he plays, this is actually a G5 I like. This gets an exclam move on my I think that HE actually did really good here on his. This was a really well-timed move. Avoiding the opening of the rook file. So Harry's like, he's happy he didn't have to get exchanged off, but he's sad he didn't get to do what his job was meant to do, was to breach the H file for the artillery to. He wanted to open up a basically a range for the artillery to be able to shoot, but his job wasn't accomplished. But he'll be used for maybe an outpost later on. Maybe he can set up an outpost and somehow get the queen in there. So you know what? Hey, he's still a great soldier. We just got to find a new purpose for Harry now, and we'll find one for our friend Harry the H pawn. Okay, bishop to G3 is a forced move because you can't take that, it's protected twice. Pawn B4. This is kind of really one of the only ways to shut the position down. This is kind of played in the London system when you, the pure London system, when you start getting a little, the H7 pawn gets a little tender. You'll notice that the majority of the time players that are black will push they'll push F5 and they'll try to get you to take so that their knight can actually take back. But I don't know if it was such a wise idea though to have overextended slightly without being developed. I think the black pieces should have actually thought about development first, potentially, and then later on, excuse me, then later on have pushed F5. Because I think that was just a little too aggressive in my point. He took in passing. Bishop takes. Now this G-pawn is a potential weakness. He can try to solidify his attack with H6, but that does allow the bishop to kind of sneak its way into G6 check. So this G-pawn's now a weakness. It's also getting in the way of black's attacks somewhat too. So rook to D1. This kind of neutralizes the push of E5. So the E6 pawn is now a backwards pawn for a pretty long time. You basically, black's gonna have to play either he's gonna have to play E8 with his rook, and then go E5 if he wants to get these pawns mobilized. And he even can't do that because there's only one defender and there's 3 attackers. So I again prefer white here. So rook there, queen to B6. He's taking scope on B2. Rook to D2, and then bishop D7. He's trying to get his bishop outside the pawn chain, maybe, and connect the rooks at the same time. So maybe bishop C6 might be a playable idea with this pawn push coming down the board, or a pawn push like that. So castles. Queen rook to C8, so that'd be AC8. Bishop takes knight is a playable move, he says. And then let me see here. if you take here, then bishop. See, this has an idea of trying to get this panel with these two pieces. So if you take, then potentially bishop b5 could actually be played with black with a cross attack. White's game becomes more precise at that point. So rook a c8. We have rook to c1. Now that really there's no play on the king side, White's going to try to turn his attention towards a kingside attack, because a lot of Black's coordination is 0 to none. He really can't get this bishop into the fray. This move also does a couple things. No longer does this this take here have any teeth to it, because there's no rook on f1, and the chance of f1 being f2 being attacked is 0 to none again, because this bishop guards it. So there's no reason for this rook to stay at home. It's trying to find open range for artillery cannonballs to be fired. And I figure that the C file is as good as any. That's what it figures too. So bishop to b5. Queen b2. He doesn't want to give up. He can't take this. If you're wondering, like, why doesn't he just take it? He loses a rook. That's why he doesn't take it. And when he moves there, he'll just retreat back here, and when he comes back, then potentially takes, and something like this. So that's why he played queen c2. This also goes along with his attacking idea of trying to play for the queen side with a4, a5 type of attack. So rook to b5 was here. My teacher told me that this is called an anchor in your rook, and so this is what Black is anchoring his rook so that he would be able to swing the other rook over and try to put some more pressure, and at the right moment play d4 to really cause a lot of as I like to call it, pandemonium in Black's camp. I mean White's camp, not Black. So queen to knight 3. So he's out of this setup, and now they're potentially, if White can get one more move in, he'll have the threat of actually taking here. He needs one more move. So Black goes, I think I'm out of here. You're going to get your move in, but I'm going to move my bishop back, and you don't have any attack anymore, friend. So you kind of look silly. There you go. That's his idea. Now the other rook slides over, so he's kind of got a, I think this is called an Alekhine gun, if I'm not mistaken. I have to remember, I think the rook has to be here, and then the queen's got to be there. There's actually also there's something called a ready rifle, and that's when you have a bishop and then a queen, and your queen goes boom. It's called the ready rifle. So queen to rook 3 is actually an exclam move, because it has kind of a dual purpose. It goes after the weak point of a7, and it also puts it gets the queen off, and it potentially allows for a knight trade to actually come to pass. You have to also be okay. Let's see, I wanted this well-known position all together. Okay. Black actually played a really nice move. B6, double exclam. This is a beautiful move, because if you get lulled into saying, "Oh, he's just giving me a pawn, thank you," no, ho ho ho, no siree. Your queen's trapped. It doesn't have there. This is spot's taken, that spot's taken, that spot's taken, that, and that. And this whole file is taken, and that's taken. So your queen is trapped. Very subtle move, very subtle. That's a really good move by Black. Really nice move. That's kind of saying, you know, bring it. It's kind of like saying, Black's saying, come on, bring it. You know what? You can have my pawn, but your queen's gonna get trapped. Hold on, was it Black? Did I move incorrectly? Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't his move. I apologize. He actually moved back here. Oh, that was my bad there. This is the move that gets the double. I was like that. That idea was good though that we played. Kind of was to entice White to take. So, but this is actually the double exclam setup here that that Marshall actually played. His opponent played Rook B4, which is surprisingly a mistake, but I'm not really surprised. Had Black foreseen what was coming, he would have taken the draw after the text. He is lost. So what he could have actually done here was, I think Marshall offered him a draw here, and Black declined the draw, and he said he should have taken the draw, but he didn't take the draw, and now Marshall's gonna, as they say, make him wish he had of. Knight takes pawn. He could take here. He's in deep trouble now. He's really in deep trouble. Rotates Rook. Queen takes Rook. Knight takes Bishop check. It did a something that I've been talking about. Forcing moves. It set into action a chain of forcing moves. And then this was a beautiful move as well. Another chain of forcing moves happened. This was a brilliant move here. King takes knight, and then bishop to e5 check. King b4, pawn to f3 exclam, and what he's actually threatening here is checkmate with g4. G4 is checkmate. And White resigned here. He would have to potentially play g5 the following potentially would occur. And you have check on e4. King goes here. Queen f7 check. King h6. Queen check. King would have to take the pawn. Queen takes pawn check. King would have to go to what am I missing here? Okay, sorry, I had the wrong one here. He'd have to take on g4 check. King h3, and then bishop knight 7. And even if he threw in he can throw in the in-between move, but it doesn't much matter. He's still going to get defeated. Okay. So do you have? You said you were bringing some puzzles to go over. Oh, you do have them. Okay. And then we'll go over ours after those. Okay. Let's see, what do we got here? Ah, perfect. Let's get this bigger. There we go. Let me see here. Knight g3 check. F takes g3. Rook takes g3 check. King takes g3. And rook takes e1. King takes e1. Queen takes g3 check. King f1. Interesting, to say the least. This doesn't work here because takes. That's not right. Let's take a look at this. If takes here. Nothing. If knight d4, rook takes check. Oops. King up. And then he's going to try. Oops, he can't do that. He has to move his queen, so he might try queen e4. Maybe c2. He stops that, so that doesn't work. Could have perpetual here. He's got perpetual. He actually can check. I think I'm looking now at queen a6. If rook takes, then queen takes check is winning, because he can't play there because mate. if queen takes, rook takes, and queen check, and then we just come up here, and if here, we grab the pawn. So I'm thinking, I think we might have found it. Queen a6. Am I going down the right track? Queen a6. Yeah, better than queen a6. Well, I guess maybe we have queen takes b4. If rook takes, if king takes, then queen there. If the king tries to come in, it could take and then come in there, so think forestry moves. Oh, wait a second. I think I got it now. Did I get that right? Did I do the right forestry move? With the knight? Knight g3? So knight g4, the correct forestry move. Oh good, I did it then. Okay. Yeah, that one was a tough one. But it was worth it. We got it. I just gotta think forcing. The move's there. You just gotta do it. Alright. Let's do it to it. Let me see this. Let me check. I'm just not sure why it's delaying like that. Is there a... No, it looks... Okay. There we go. Let me see here. Just give me a sec to think about this. Okay, I think I got it. I'm thinking it's queen, rook d4, and then if a5, rook d5, if rook a7, rook b5 check, if bishop b7, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, and then we start gobbling pawns. Is that right? Did I get that right? True, true. Oops, not b8. I was thinking rook d8, but then he has bishop f5, check, and then something to do. Maybe better than that would be, and then he doesn't have anything after that. He might play all the way back here though. Check. And if he, actually, he may try to come up. Rook c1 might actually be a playable move. What do you think? Is that it? Does it have to do with something to do with a rook? There's better. Oh, wait a second. Rook d. Maybe it's rook d8 that I'm looking at. And then if he plays that, then pawn check, king up, and we turn it into a queen. Is that what you're talking about? Rook d8. Is rook, sorry, not, yeah, d8. Is rook d8 the one you were talking about? Because I think you'd have to play up here. What if bishop f8? Oh, right here, bishop f8. Oh, rook b7. Okay, gotcha. Rook b7 is mate. I gotcha. I forgot that. I was looking at this pin bishop that I realized you were talking about blocking here. There you go. This took a second. We got her though. Okay, we'll get on to our 12 puzzles and then into the end game. Come on. Ah, good. There we go. Let's see. 3, 2, 4, 3, and 4. Good. White to move. Ah. What are the two ways to mate? You found one. What's the other way to mate? Checkmate. There you go. Boom. There you go. Nice work. Trying to remember them from memory. I'm looking at them. Grandmaster Simon Williams said that that's a way that you can do during chess lessons. He would have his students look at a puzzle and then he'd have them set it up, and that helps with visualization. Let's see here. Yep, that works. There's the first mate. Yeah, I got it. Yep. There you go. Gotcha. We're doing it. We're doing good. I got it. Do you got it? Let's see if you got it. There we go. Yep, they got it. There's the first one. Oops, okay. I think it's the same. Yeah, okay, same one. I was seeing if there was any other way of doing it. I think that's it. Those are the only two. I'll give you a second to think about this. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Let's see. Yep, there you go. Okie dokie, onward and upward. Okay, ready to go. Ready to rock and roll. I got it. I got it. I know what it is. I'll see if you can figure this. If you need a hint, just tell me, okay? Just tell me if you need a hint. This one might be a little bit difficult for you to find, but I believe that you can do it. But if you need a hint, just ask me. I was actually thinking of rook e2. Rook e2 is actually what I was thinking of. And then let's see, what is it, mate in one? Let's see. Well, what's this mate? So we the rook e2 is one, and then knight and there is one. Yeah. The one that this one right here is a more a quieter one. I think that your opponent wouldn't figure out. Which rook e1 e2, your opponent would be like, huh, what in the world's that? And he can try anything he wants. Uh, and bishop h2 is mate. The only reason I checked with the engine was I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something that. Oops, clear the board. Alright, there. Make sure I have this all right. Yep. Good to go. I think no. I don't think that's it. No. Let's see here. Boy, this is a interesting one to say the least. Looking for quiet moves, moves that set up for checkmate. Hmm. I wonder if it's a king move. I wonder if it's king b7. If he moves his bishop. I think it's not it because of there. I was thinking something about this then. But then the bishop intercepts. So that's not, that doesn't work. I was looking at this, but then he's got queen e5. We don't have anything there. I was thinking about f6, but then he's got c6, and nothing works there. Do you have an idea? Okay, 6, A5. That is interesting. I was thinking something like D8. And the only problem is he could flay. I was looking at like a king move. I was actually looking at something like king B7. Something to do with blocking that way. That was an idea I was kind of taking a look at. It doesn't work though. Kind of stumped. I have to check. I know this. Did I not set this up? Hold on. Let me make sure I set this up. Oh, I have the knight. That would help. Have the knight in the wrong spot. Sorry about that. I had the knight in the wrong spot. So now this will work. Yeah. That helps. That helps. It covers these two squares now. So now he can't flee anymore. So now we just have to find the right mating combination. Thinking it has something to do with rook d8. No. No, this doesn't not right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. Oh. Do you have the move, or do you want me to? I can set it up. It's rook e5, king takes e5, then knight c4 is mate. So it's this move here. There we go. There we go. Do, 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 there we go. I gotta speedily set this up so we can get into our endgame. I want to get into our endgame, and I'm going to make 110% sure this time that every piece is on its right square. I thought for sure I had it on its right square. Oops. Okay, that's right, that's right. That's right, okay, that's right, that's right. That's right, that's right, that's right. Right, 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 right. Alright, there we go. That's right. Yep. I'm running upward to the next one, so we're one more step closer. One more step closer. Do 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 do. Okay. Oops. Drat. Okay. Let me see here. Just one of these. One of these. Queen comes down here. Bishop. Queen. I think I have a. Are we good? No, we got a king here. Then we got a bishop. Where's our king? I think it's right there. Yeah. So that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. 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 Good. 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 Okay, and we're good. Now let's send it in. Yeah, that's right. A walk in the park. Yep, that sets up for. It takes away when you take here. This actually mates. It allows this to be this and that. That's taken and that's taken. This protects there, so you're all good. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Mhm. Okay. I got it. Do you have it? This should be a walk in the park. Yep, there you go. Kaboom. There you go. One more, and we get to do endgame. I'm so excited. I want to see what happens with all king and pawn endgames are confusing. I want to see what happens with that one. I'm interested to see what our next one is. Yeah, it was a pretty big monster of a game. But I gotta say though, those are fun to watch. Banco was one of the masters of patience when it came to it. They did ask the kids that are now like Jennifer Wang and those kids, the young ladies and young men, that they asked them, how do you feel when you play against your friends? She goes, they're my friends off the board, but on the board it's war. And so that's how, if you ever face a friend, it's nothing, you gotta say it's nothing personal. It's, we're playing a game of war, and you're just the other side, and I have to basically defeat you. But off the board, we're the best of friends, but on the board, it's all out war. So just keep that in mind, like if you ever face a friend or something, it's nothing personal. You're not. Yeah, these were kind of a little bigger ones, but I gotta tell you, we're learning a bunch from these puzzles. Oops, I have to erase. I have to go to the next page and put a go. Okay. Let's get our Jeremy Summon ready to rock and roll. Let's see, Queen e6. If bishop there, then you take his mate. I think that is it. I really don't see anything else. That maybe bishop H, and then G. I think there's yeah. Bishop H5 is also a mating as well. Bishop H5, G6, and then bishop takes G6 is mate. Good. They found both of them. Nice. So onward and upward to our next. It's our end game studies time. I'll do a little bit. I'll try to do some before I have to log. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Dookie. Let's see here. Just make sure I have this right. Yep, that's right. So far, so good. God, I know I gotta put the king on, but I just, there we go. Whose turn is it? White. Perfect. There we go. Yeah. This is not again. Just gotta wait till my computer responds. Computers, what you gonna do with them? There we go. That's the game if you want to go over it. Okay. However, masters have learned to be very wary of all king and pawn endgames since the strange thing is it's often unforeseen complications can turn an easy win into a draw or even a loss. Yeah, most experienced masters would note that the position of entering an appropriate winning king and pawn endgame would be. What do you think the move would be for white? What do you think the move would be? I'll give you a minute to think about for white. What move would you play for white? I'll give you 1 minute and then I'll do the I'll move the move. No. That's a good try. Try again. Try again. Think prevent counterplay. How would you be able to prevent black from getting any counterplay? How would you prevent black from getting any counterplay? Remember, this is all based on creating a weakness and then going for count and stopping your opponent from having any counterplay. And there's a move that actually does that. There's one move that does that. I'll give you 1 more minute to give it another go. Well, I'll give you another chance to go at it. That's exactly right. That's actually the move that was played in the game. This is the best move. Surprisingly, this move, sorry, was played in the game. This is actually a mistake. This is a mistake. Because the move you proposed was actually the move that was the correct move. He says one would think that rook g8. However, their spider sense would trigger and they would hold off on such an exchange. Why should they trade their knight? Isn't it a monster? Their pawns are safe, and their rook is active compared to the black, basically horrible bishop, horrible rook, and all of his other stuff is just bad, really, really bad. And so his rook's bad, his bishop's bad, no activity, nothing. Why would one play that? Rook g8, he said. It happens, and he has so many vulnerable pawns that it's horrible. One would expect a strong player as RAN to only go into a winning king and pawn endgame after tidying up all the positions. Thus, king e2, which you just said, chess 360, stops black from infiltrating into white's camp and also centralizes white's king, would easily win the game. That move you just talked about, king e2, shuts all counterplay. His rook is horrible. This king e2 is it's the move that wins. He doesn't have any spots to go to. His bishop is passive, and his king really can't do much. And then at the right moment later on, he'll have to actually somehow protect this pawn here. And so he might have to, I don't know, I think he's going to lose this pawn. It's just game over because that move stops everything. That pawn's hanging now. So, but this is he's trying to say that he can't play rook d1 because then the bishop would hang. King h7. He actually surprisingly took here, and this is a losing. This loses. Not loses. White completely missed black's brilliant defensive trap. It's easy to miss, but why go into something that might turn complex when simple moves keep the win safe at hand? For example, what would you, rather than this move, what would you think about playing? Rather than rook takes g7, which is a mistake, where would you want to put this rook? Where would you want to put this rook? Where would be a good spot for this rook to go to? Along here. See, that would be a good one, but actually he was talking that rook b8 actually would undermine the b5 pawn and or b4 pawn and allow the attack to be better for white. So c5. c5 is an interesting move. And rook c8 now, because this is fixed. King g6. Then king e2. And black will lose material without having any counterplay whatsoever in that position. He played here. Rook takes. Knight takes, king takes, and then he actually played g4. This was white's idea. It seemed to end all king counterplay for black, since leaving the g pawn on g4 is a winning endgame for white, while taking impassade for white wins outright the passed pawn. So actually, surprisingly, h takes g3 is an exclam for oops, I had to put an exclam mark there for black. I guess it isn't. White evaluated hope for the king to actually go here. He was hoping that the king would go to f, and then he can go e2, king e6, king d3, king d6, king c4, a5, c3, pawn takes, and then king d7, king c5. This is hopeful thinking, by the way. King c7, c4, and king d7, and b6 actually wins. This is what he was hoping for. He didn't expect black to actually go in for it. Yeah, he didn't actually expect black to do that. F takes g, and then black plays. This is a double exclam move for black. It's a double exclam move. Almost. You're getting close. What's the pawn next to it? I'll give you a hint. It's a pawn next to the f pawn. Which move would it be? There we go. And you got to put, instead of a question mark, you got to put a double exclam there. You have to put a double exclam on the G4. H4. White has nothing after H takes G. He says he's got nothing after this move here. Nothing. Because King H6, King F2, King G5. However, it does seem that White's outside pass pawn would bring victory. Incredibly, this doesn't prove to be the case. And then C5 would actually be an exclam move at this point. Oops. Sorry, I think I did that. Sorry. Right here, C5. C5 is an exclam, that's it. An important move that deprives White's king of the D4 square. Once the E-pawn moves forward, okay, this doesn't make sense now, but it soon will, he said. Just keep it in your back pocket. King H7. That surprisingly, that's an exclam move. King D. King H6 is an exclam move again. Black avoids the G6 since in tactical lines that might actually cause some problems. If he wanted to play F6, F5 would allow an unfortunate check with E takes. So he stays along here so that if he needs to push, he can. It's kind of like run. King C4 is actually, surprisingly, you would think it's a good move. It's actually a double. Come on, where's the double question mark? Ah, there we go. It's actually a double question mark. It loses to F5. Since E takes F, and then E4, and there's no way that he can save the position now. The king will come around, gobble this, and then just basically, and if he tries to gobble that, this pawn runs. So that there's really no way to stop this king from coming around and basically just gobbling everything and escorting down. Wow. That is impressive. Very impressive. C3, A5, F6, and now King G6. When the E-pawn turns into a queen, the E-pawn will turn into a queen. And he also has one more line. It's a line inside of a line. If rather than takes, if he plays King D6, D5, wait a second. Oh, sorry, not King D5. My bad there. King D3. F4. G takes. E takes. King E2. King H5. and then e5, king g6, and it actually wins. He's able to stop these two pawns, and these two pawns will hold the king off from moving. While it's time, we can grab both of these. So c3, let's see how much time do I have left. I think I can finish this one up, then I gotta log. Yep, we'll finish this one up and then I gotta log off. That would be perfect. So a5, and then c takes b, a takes b, and the game stopped here, but Jeremy Silman continued on, so I'll just make this, I'll put a square there. King e2, and then king h7. White can't make any progress. You are convinced yet that most king and pawn endgames might turn out to be a minefield that you should think twice before walking through? Question mark. No. Yes. No. Yes. Let's look at a game won by. We'll do this one tomorrow. It's I am Jack Peters. The transpose into king and pawn endgame was perfect solution here, but the calculation necessary to prove this is far from easy in an over the board situation. And we'll leave that as a teaser. Do you have any questions? Yeah. Well, I wanted to thank you for logging on. Thank you, Chess360, for the two puzzles. Thank you for participating, and those who are listening, I hope that you click follow if you're new on the site, and then you join us for our more of our training and learning. And you know what? It's all based on the Lord giving us our talents, and He's the one who deserves all glory and honor. The Lord Jesus does. What we have to keep in mind is that we have to make sure before you enter a king and pawn endgame, or maybe a bishop in pawn endgame, make sure your calculations are 100%, because we got to see from a game that king e2 was actually the winning line. Why go into a complicated position rather than just a simple king e2? Game's over, all counterplay. What does he do? What does black do at that point? Nothing. You have a strong center, everything. Your king's more centralized, his king's off to the side. The rook's horribly placed, the bishop's horribly placed, and later on, with the right play, then you can exchange down. But miscalculation costed the actually stronger side a 1 point. It was a half and half. So I guess it teaches us one thing: never misjudge your enemy's position, and always be on guard for opportunities if your opponent enters a king and pawn endgame where you might be able to turn the tide of the battle, and maybe even take a drawn position into a win if your opponent so miscalculates and goes into an endgame that's not a good endgame. And we have to remember, every long journey begins with one small step. So you have to remember that every small step is important in our journey for endgame understanding. Every calculating line that you go over is vital. And if it doesn't seem right to enter into an endgame, don't enter into the endgame. Maybe bring your king one step closer, then enter into the endgame. So it's all up to you when you want to enter the endgame. And we're learning, like the Grandmaster's ways of thinking. A lot of the club players don't think this way, so you have a tremendous advantage over your opponents if you calculate your endgame right, and your opponent doesn't. They can think that they're actually winning, even though they maybe have a rook and you have a knight, and you know that your knight is actually a superior piece than the rook. So by entering into a game, even though an exchange down, you might end up being able to win the entire game by gobbling all the material and activating your king. And that's what our thinking thoughts have to be on. It goes back to E. Nightingale, that we become what we think about. So if we think proper endgame, and we think proper tactics and forcing moves, and we learn those patterns, then it'll be like what Rusty says: if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Either way, you're right. And like Bruce Lee, we're doing our 10,000. We're practicing our 10,000 kicks once. On one kick 10,000 times. And remember, he said he didn't fear the person who practiced 10,000 individual kicks. He feared the person who practiced one kick 10,000 times. And that's why we go over endgame, even if the endgames look the endgame looks very repetitive. If you stick with it, my friends, that's where a lot of games are won, are lost, are drawn, as we have seen, by just a small miscalculation. Could actually turn a lost game into a draw. So just keep that in the forefront. And Bruce Lee says there are plateaus, and the human potential is to go beyond that. We need to. We should never be satisfied with, as it is written, being lukewarm. We need to always be hot or cold, but not lukewarm. It's nothing to desire to do. And you know what? We have to always keep in mind, like what as is written too, don't give up. We don't need to give up. We have to knuckle down and get up. He never gave up on us, and we're not going to give up. You know, it also, Bruce Lee said that knowing is not enough, you must apply. Willing is not enough, you must do. So you have to take what the knowledge that the Lord is giving you, Lord Jesus, and apply it to the chess over the board, and take the will of the Holy Spirit and then apply that to your learning, and you'll improve. You'll see a big improvement. Let me see. And what we have to always remember to do is, as grandmasters, we have to put on our grandmaster glasses when we sit down and calculate. And you know what? Grandmasters aren't perfect. So if you ever do face one, they do make mistakes. So just keep that in mind. Like, you know what? They're not perfect. They're not the Lord. Let's just say that. And let me see. We have to treasure our victories and learn from our losses, and remember that mistakes do not define us. It's how we handle the mistake that defines us. And like as it is written, it says that we need to be ready in season and out of season. And in all things, don't give place to the enemy. That's what we should learn from our end game. Don't give a place to the enemy. Because if they do, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So it's kind of like on the Lord of the Rings, when the two towers, and they're on Helm's Deep, and I think it was Legolas said to the elves that were the archers, "Show them no mercy, for they will show you none." And that's kind of when if you're white and you're facing black, it's nothing personal if it's your friend across the board or whoever. Show them no mercy, for they'll show you none. It's nothing like you have to be brutal, mean, or anything like that. That's not it at all. You just have to make sure that, you know what, you don't give them any counterplay. You don't give them any hope of ever getting out of the bind that they're in. If you have them in a boa constricting, squeeze, and eventually their position will break and you'll win. and you kind of have to do that, and that's just how it is. And you know what? You're actually helping them. My Grandmaster teacher told me this: by winning or defeating them, you're helping them to improve, and you're helping chess. But if you intentionally don't win, and because they're your friend, you play half-heartedly, you're actually hurting their growth. Surprise! And I was like, for a while, I always wondered what he thought. Then I realized that's exactly it. When I heard Annie Wang say that a lot of those young ladies are her friends, but when she sits down over the board and plays against them, it's nothing personal. She's gonna go for the KO, and she ain't holding anything back. And that's how we have to be. No holes bar, Royal Rumble on the chessboard. But like chess crunchers, what do we always do when most are playing and doing other stuff that when they should be studying? We hang up our coat. We hang up our hat. We sit down and study when most won't. A chess cruncher does. And that makes all the difference. And that is the name of a chess cruncher. So when you sit down and study, when most are doing other stuff and you're studying, you can wear that title, chess cruncher, because you're doing when most won't. You're doing the work. So congratulations, fellow chess cruncher. And I will leave you with that. And as Wesley So says for the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. And we'll keep pushing forward. I may be back on earlier. I may be back on this standard time. So you'll just have to keep an eye out, because sometimes my schedule changes. And today I was able to get on a little earlier. So hooray! Yay! And as Hannibal Smith goes, hoorah! And then he also goes, I love it when a plan comes together. And you know what? Don't we love it when a plan comes together? That's how it is. And Hannibal Smith would say what? 3 moves ahead of your opponent, and make sure you can predict what they do. But always remember, from the chess cruncher, to have fun in chess, use the talent the Lord has given you, and always honor Him. Great job. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Hoorah. Be blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow. And keep studying chess and whatever field you're in, and being a chess cruncher. Bye-bye.